Hey guys, thanks for joining me for this 28th episode in Season 2 of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. Special guests for this episode include rocker Ricky Warwick, has a new album, When Life Was Hard and Fast. We'll also visit with actor Diedrich Bader about the 100th episode of American Housewife, which premieres Wednesday night. We'll also visit with country legend Tracy Lawrence, got some new music and an album, Hindsight 2020, that's available for pre-order for April release. Of course, if you would, please take the time to subscribe, drop a like, leave a comment, some feedback, and of course share with your friends. Now, has your car become a storage unit and, well, not a well-organized one either? According to a new survey, a third of people say that their cars are so full of junk there's really not any room for passengers. Now, the survey also found that 19% of people haven't cleaned their car in the past 3 months, and 10% don't even remember the last time they cleaned it. And finally, more than half of people have spilled a drink on the seats in their car or on the floor. No word on how many of them cleaned that. Well, our first guest today is rocker Ricky Warwick, has a new album, When Life Was Hard and Fast. First off, Ricky, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
You're welcome, Cameron. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Now, Ricky, obviously, folks may know you from Think Lizzy back in the day. Now, with 2020 and all that it's been like, I mean, was releasing this record, was it like anything else you've ever done before?
You know what, and Cameron, I'll be honest with you, the pandemic didn't affect this record at all, because the record was actually recorded before the pandemic hit.
Oh, wow.
The record was recorded in 2019, quite a few months before. The COVID was coming down the pipeline. So the record was in the can, and obviously I tried to wait on it as long as possible. It didn't seem any sense to move the release date forward into last year when we were at the height of the pandemic. So it was always scheduled for a 2021 release. We just stuck with the schedule. But really, honestly, the pandemic had no bearing on the record at all.
As far as marketing and in the project as well, I mean, obviously that looks a little different. I mean, how different is it not being able to get out in front of the fans on a new release?
It's tough. It's tough. I think even when we knew the album was coming out in obviously February 2021. Even 7 or 8 months ago, we thought we might be in we hope we might be in a better place, and I would be able to get out and tour. Obviously, that's not looking like it's going to happen until probably towards the end of this year, although we are getting there, which is great. It's frustrating. It's frustrating as a musician that you write songs, you record them, and the next logical step is to get out and play them to the good people and see their reaction to the music that you've written. And not being able to do that is just incredibly frustrating. But our health and safety and well-being is far more important, and we'll get there. We'll get there.
Now, Ricky, this last year, as far as musical inspiration, has it been harder to find, or maybe has it inspired you in different ways that you didn't see before?
I think it's been easier because there's been nothing else to do. Being locked at home. I mean, I'm pretty lucky, and I'm very prolific anyway, and I have a little setup here where I go and write every day. That hasn't really changed due to the lockdown. I've just done more of it because obviously there's no good distractions. You can't go anywhere, so we're all locked down here at home. So I really, have spent probably even more time writing in the studio just to try and remain positive and keep busy and get through this like everybody else. In that side of it, it's been okay for me because I've been able to be very creative, and I'm thankful for that.
Now, Ricky, how proud are you of the entire band project on the new record? I mean, it's nice to have friends in the industry that want to help you do some playing with you as well, right?
It doesn't hurt when you got some people that know what they're doing, right?
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky that these are first and foremost friendships that have been forged in 30 years of playing rock and roll, and I'm a fan of these special guests that were on my album. First and foremost, they're friends, but I'm a fan of their music. They're incredible musicians. Joe Elliott from Def Leppard and I go back, many, many years. Joe's been an incredible friend and supporter to me over the years. I've worked with Joe. I've sang on a Def Leppard album, Joe Cope, which is my first 2 solo records. So there's a lot of history there between us. Andy Taylor from Duran Duran Power Station. Andy and I worked together way back in the 90s, stayed friends ever since. So it's just nice to be able to reach out to these people and, ask them to come and play on the record. And they showed up and they played great. And it's just, for me as a fan, seeing their names on the record, it just still gives me a thrill.
And after all the years in the industry, to be putting out new music and seeing a new generation of listeners and fans, I mean, what's that like for you on a personal level?
To still be, making music and still be relevant after 30 years of doing it, it's huge. It's what it's all about for me. It's creating and moving forward and being able to get in and record and be able to release material is what keeps me going and what keeps me wanting to do this. I'm just not one of those people that could just go out there and just play, much as I love doing it, just play the same songs over and over again without creating anything new. I love playing the old songs, and I love playing the songs that people know and love, but I love moving forward and creating new music, in tandem with that.
Now, what was maybe the most COVID purchase you made back in 2020?
That's a great question. We've been pretty frugal. We've kind of, haven't splurged too much. I've bought some recording equipment. I think that's probably the most expensive stuff I've spent money on.
I think everybody in the music industry, from your side to our side, I think we've all bought some home equipment. I think that's a given, right?
Well, suddenly, I've been doing some online shows, and I think the first one I did, I just flipped open the sort of, the laptop and played into the speaker and the camera, and then suddenly you kind of go, oh, well, if I buy this camera and I get this mic and this sound condenser, and and so now we're doing one every month. We've got actually be quite high tech at putting the whole thing together now.
That's awesome. Now, Ricky, if folks want to find out more information about the music, the new album, upcoming tour dates as those become available, where's the best place to catch all that?
You go to rickywarwick.com. You can branch off into all the social media sites on there. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. The album's through Nuclear Blast. All the links are on there. There's some great additions. They've done a great job. There's vinyl. There's colored vinyl. There's digipacks. It's even out in cassette. If you want to buy a cassette, there you go. So Nuclear Blast has done a great job. But type in Ricky Warwick, When Life is Hard and Fast, and it'll take you to everywhere you need to go.
There you go. Well, Ricky, it has been great to get the chance to visit with you this morning. I tell you, I'm looking forward to spending some more time with the album myself, and hopefully we can catch up again real soon, my friend.
Listen, thank you so much for your support, and absolute pleasure being on the show. Thank you.
Well, it's about time that scientists spoke up in defense of something that's been unfairly maligned for so many years. Now, the latest word is cheese is not bad for you after all. There have been several recent major studies in the past decade that has found that cheese got an unfair reputation because of the misguided anti-fat guidelines back in the 80s and 90s. Now, those studies found that what really makes you gain weight are things like refined grains, potatoes, and processed meats. And cheese didn't cause people to gain weight, and sometimes it even helped people lose fat. Now, the dean of the Tufts School of Nutrition Science in Massachusetts said, quote, "There's almost no evidence cheese causes weight gain, and in fact, there's evidence that it's neutral at worst. There's no evidence that cheese is linked to cardiovascular disease, and in some studies, it's even a little bit associated with lower risk. And then for diabetes, again, it's at worst neutral and maybe protective." Again, that comes from the dean of the Tufts School of Nutrition Science in Massachusetts. Well, our next guest is good friend Diedrich Bader. We'll be talking about the 100th episode of American Housewife that premieres Wednesday night. Diedrich, always great to visit with you, my friend.
Thank you for having me back on the show and giving me the opportunity to talk about the 100th episode of American Housewife.
How crazy is that, Diedrich, to think that 100 episodes under the belt already?
It's crazy. It is crazy. I mean, that's the only word that you can think about, because it just the number itself just seems incredible that we were able to reach that milestone. This is the second series I've done that has reached this magic number, and I just feel very blessed and very lucky that I really love my work and that I've been able to do it with this incredible cast and these incredible writers and crew, and I just. Yeah, I mean, looking back, like, I just can't believe it. I mean, the kids have grown up. You know, it's like having a second family. and watching these kids grow up and being a part of their lives has been a beautiful thing.
And Diedrich, you talk about 100 episodes and all of the different emotions and the different things that you guys have been able to touch with humor. And I know that's huge for you, too, to be able to touch some issues in a lighter way, if you will.
Oh, yeah. I think that one of the reasons of our success so far, anyway, is that people can associate with the show. If you're a married person and you have a family, you can really watch the show and get it. And I think there's a lot of shows that are family shows that either cater to the children or they cater to the parents. But in our show, we cater to the entire family, so there's literally something for everybody. And we take on a lot of issues of people that are married and what it's like to be married over a long time and what it's actually like to raise children. So, yeah, I mean, I think that's why we've been able, and the fact that Katie Mixon is just amazing. That's why we've been able to get to 100 episodes. It's a show that people can associate with.
Now, Diedrich, how much different is the process now as a result of COVID, and how much of an impact do you think that's had on the overall production?
Well, I mean, obviously, the costs of COVID and all of the protocols, it adds 30% onto our budget, so that's an awful lot for every single episode. So if you shoot 3 episodes, it's almost like you've paid for another episode. So that's why we're doing a much shorter season this year. We're only doing 12 episodes as opposed to like 21 or 22, which is the standard order. It's because it's just really, really expensive to do. And then on top of that, despite the protocols, it's still a dangerous thing to do because there's an enormous, I don't know if people can picture this in their head, but there's like 100 people on a set. And we're in not the biggest area in the world. And so we're all together. The crew, that is, has to wear masks and then shields on top of masks, and we can't shake hands. We can't get close to each other with the social distancing and everything. It's very strange. And even when we rehearse, for camera, just to see what the scene is going to be like and to show the camera where we're moving and all that kind of stuff, we have to be wearing masks. We can only take off the masks when we're actually shooting. So because it's difficult to hear someone who's speaking through a mask, like the first time you actually hear the scene is when you're shooting it, which is very different from any other thing. And up until that time, everybody sounds like Kenny on South Park. And yeah.
Now, how's the celebration of the 100th episode going to go for you guys coming up tomorrow night?
Well, it's on the show, Franklin, who plays Anna Cat, Anna Cat is our youngest daughter on the show. Her best friend, Franklin, has a podcast called Getting Frank with Franklin that nobody listens to, but he still does it anyway. Anyway, his podcast has gotten to the 100th episode. And so to celebrate his 100th episode, he is interviewing the Otto family. And we think it's going to be all softball questions because, after all, he's a kid. But they're actually really penetrating, perceptive questions that kind of throw us off our game and make us reevaluate our lives, particularly Katie's character. So it's a really fun way to kind of re-examine ourselves. I think it's very meta show, but I think it's really cool. If you watch it, I think you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I was watching. I believe it was the previous episode where he was talking about that, where Anna Cat was talking about how she's always his guest on those anyways. So now, have you delved into
so he's expanding the circle.
Yeah, there you go. Have you expanded into the podcast world at all?
No, I don't think I've ever done a podcast. Well, wait. I did Ileana Douglas's podcast and maybe a couple others. Now that I think about it, I'm sorry, I can really remember. And also I've been listening to some too. There's one that has Sean Hayes on it, and that's pretty funny. Julia Louis-Dreyfus was interviewed the other day on that show, and I really enjoyed that. I could see it's like long format radio.
That's right. Now, again, the 100th episode coming up tomorrow evening. Diedrich, always want to make sure and let our listeners know where to keep up with everything you've got going on, and even some gardening and flowering, right?
Oh, thank you. Yes, if you're interested in flowers at all, my Instagram is almost entirely dedicated to my garden and other gardens. But now, because of COVID, entirely my garden. But yeah, if you want to know what's happening in the business and what's happening to me day by day, you can follow my Twitter. Hopefully you'll find it entertaining.
There you go. Well, Diedrich, always great to visit with you, my friend. I appreciate you taking the time out of your schedule, and hopefully we'll talk again real soon.
I would love that. Thank you for having me back.
Now, here's a hypothetical that should do a nice job in making you angry at the concept of time itself. Why is it gotta be all linear, you know? Well, a new survey asked people if they could choose one age to be the rest of their lives, what would they choose? The most common answer, 36. Now, the survey also found more than half of people say they look around 5 years younger than they are and feel 6 years younger. Don't I wish? Now, in spite of all that, 59% say they used to be obsessed with slowing down how they were aging, but now they're doing a better job accepting it and embracing it. Our final guest today is country legend Tracy Lawrence, going to be talking about some new music and his album Hindsight 2020, which is available now for pre-order for release in April. First off, Tracy, I'm excited to talk. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Thanks for taking the time to be on the show, my friend.
Absolutely, and I hope everybody in your area is okay from the ice and the snowstorm that came through. I know Oklahoma got hit a lot like Texas. I don't think y'all got it near as bad, but I hope everybody in your listening area is safe and healthy and doing all right.
We are doing well. We kind of like we've done for the last 12 months. We're just getting by, my friend.
I understand, brother. Hopefully things are going to get better. You know, the hindsight's 2020, as they say, and this year's going to be a lot better.
Yeah, we had no idea that hindsight 2020 was going to take a different turn, did we?
Boy, I'm telling you what. Yes, I just let's put last year in the books and move on.
Yeah. Now for you, Tracy, celebrating 30 years of country music. I mean, first off, when you look at that, what does that bring to mind whenever you think of it being 30 years so far?
You know, it's been a great journey. It comes in sections. You know, for me, I think life before kids was a wonderful time. Life after kids is a whole different experience. And life after the kids are gone is going to be another chapter in life, and we're getting close to that one too. So, you know, the 90s were a great time for me, man. I had a blast. I mean, I was young and having hits on the radio, and got to amass a great body of work that'll be around for a long time, and create a huge fan base. And it left me in a situation where I'm going to be able to work the rest of my life as long as I want to, and I'm very blessed and thankful for that. You know, I've learned to appreciate how special that is, you know, as I've gotten older. So I'm so thankful that I had an opportunity to do what I love to do, and it's worked out the way that it has. You know, and hopefully the future is just as bright. I don't think creatively I'm done. I think I write better songs now than I ever have. I think I'm singing better than I ever have. I'm just at a great place in life, man. I'm just ready for our country to get back on track and things to open up so we can all go back to work, and it looks like that's happening right now.
And Tracy, for you, obviously everybody in 2020, we all had our high spots, a lot of low spots. And I know when we met, I think we met 18 years ago up in Indiana at Belterra. You were doing a show with Mark Chestnut and Joe Diffie. And I know that the loss of Joe was huge in your life. And did 2020, writing wise, was it more difficult for you to find inspiration for music?
I don't think it was more difficult, and I think some of the stuff that we wrote for this new record is as strong as anything that I've ever done. Some of the Zoom writes were hard. You know, I did one with the title track, Stairway to Heaven, Highway to Hell. That was the hardest for me. That was like a 6-hour write with Craig Wiseman. That was a tough write. But really and truly, most of us were still able to get together and be respectful to each other and keep our distance and be able to be in the same room and write songs. So that wasn't too much of a struggle for me where I live. We really didn't have a lot of COVID issues around here. But the inspirations, man, there's just so much stuff going on in life. The one thing that I did not do on really any of this stuff was write about the pandemic or write about the new terminology, 6 feet of separation, or any of that stuff that I've heard people do. I felt like if you want to write it as an exercise to get it out of your head, that's fine. But if you want to record it, I felt like by the time we got past all this, people weren't going to want to listen to it any more than I was. I don't want anything reminding me of it. I won't be done with it.
Now, the new album, tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind it and how excited you are as an independent artist to be able to kind of put your best foot forward the way you want to do it.
You know, I feel like I have a lot of creative freedom now, and I was really blessed with that for the most part throughout my recording career with the different labels I was on. But now I don't feel like I have any reason to look for outside songs. I stay pretty tight inside my camp. I really don't go look at other publishing companies. And I have the ability to take the time to put records together that I want to make. I'm writing more personal stuff. You know, there's a song called Struggle, Struggle is one of my favorite things we wrote last year. So I feel like creatively I'm in the best place that I've ever been, and I think the future's pretty bright. You know, not working the radio game, I don't have to worry about being commercial friendly as much as what we used to. You know, fitting into that little box. Mm-hmm. And there's stuff when you go in the studio. It's like I want to track it a little bit longer. I might want a 4.5 minute song. I don't think I should have to end it at 2:45. I can add those other solos and things that are in there that complete that musical thing and extend the outro and do what I want to do with it. And that's pretty refreshing for me.
And Tracy, along those lines, you talked about radio friendly as well. How different is it as an independent artist to get music on radio? Is it truly that much different now?
Yeah, as far as getting on the big panel on Billboard, it's virtually impossible unless you've got some stupidly deep pockets. I mean, they've priced us out of it. And, you know, we can work secondary radio, and that's pretty reasonable with the promotion staff. But trying to get to the places where the big boys play, it's basically out of reach. But we have all these other platforms. We have all these other situations. You know, streaming platforms are great for me. We've spent a lot of money and a lot of time working on social media, and that gets us our reach out to the masses, and that's pretty much the tools that we use these days. And our goal for this year is, instead of trying to work a single to radio, it's going to be volume. I mean, we're going to put a lot of singles out this year, and it's just going to be constantly updated music that's going to hopefully keep the fan base engaged, because there's going to be something fresh coming out every 3 or 4 weeks.
Now, Tracy, I know that another big trend as of late in country music, especially in the last 12 months, is TikTok. Have you jumped on the bandwagon there yet, or do you see that anytime soon?
You know, I have a great social media team that deals with all that stuff for me. My kids keep me informed on TikTok, and there's been some stuff that has been about me on TikTok that they find is extremely humorous that they show me periodically. I have never actually been on TikTok. I'm a YouTube guy, but you do find some of that stuff. I have friends that send me things, so you know, I'm pretty limited, man. YouTube's about the only place I go.
That's funny. Now the album, the special project, Hindsight 2020, Tracy, I want to make sure and let our listeners know where to find more information about that, the pre-order info, and of course all your socials as well.
Go to TracyLawrence.com. That'll be where you find out all the information about the album. The first single has just gone out. I think Struggle, Struggle will be coming out this weekend. We're having 3 albums with 10 songs apiece on them this year. So the compilation package, the collectible packaging will house all 3 CDs. So you'll be able to get the packaging with the first CD and then download a barcode, and then the second CD will come to you. It'll just be mailed to your house. So we're trying to get all that stuff put in place right now. But our strategy this year is put a lot of music out, so you're gonna get sick of hearing me this year.
Never, Tracy, never. Well, Tracy, always good to visit with you, man. I appreciate you always fitting me into your schedule, and hopefully, brother, we can talk again real soon.
Appreciate you, brother, man. I hope you have a great week.
Again, thanks for joining me for this 28th episode of Good Questions with Cameron Dole. If you ever have a comment, question, or anything else you'd like to know, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, all at GQ with Cam. If you'd like to help out in the funding for this podcast, feel free to click the support tab and follow the instructions. If you have a special guest idea, email me gqwithcam@gmail.com. Again, thanks to our good friend Brandon Allen for coming up with the theme for Good Questions with Cameron Dole. We're going to let him play us out. We'll be back with episode 29 coming up tomorrow.